Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me? Is the sound okay? Thumbs up would be great. Great. Thank you, Yogesh. So, first of all, a very warm welcome to Juno's Masterclass. My name is Ronit, and I'm part of the marketing team at Juno School of Business. And I have the pleasure of hosting Mr. Akash Mitra today. So, just to give you a brief, the topic that we'll be discussing today is how modern trade is reshaping itself in FMCG and AgriTech, right? And just to give you a brief about Mr. Akash, he's a sales head at an agri-tech company named Bijak. And previous to these, he has worked with Wingreen's Farms. He has worked with TK Maxx. So again, definitely a great experience in the FMCG and agri-tech verticals. So yeah, uh, thank you, Mr. Akash, for accepting our invite and joining us today. Can you? Sorry, apologies. Hello. Uh, One second. There is some issue. One second. Just a moment.
Yeah, now it's fine. Yeah.
Hey, apologies for the glitch.
No
Uh,
worries, no worries.
no worries.
Am I audible properly?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, first
Hello,
of all,
everyone.
welcome, Mr. Akash.
Yes.
Before you start, sir, first of all, thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
No
It's
problem.
a weekend and you're giving us your time. It's a pleasure to host you today.
No problem. So thanks everyone for joining this call. Uh, and again, as Ronit said, everyone today is a weekend, and everyone else is joining a call to hear about sales and modern trade, which is not that exciting, but still, yeah. So, anyways, so let's kickstart with the topic. Uh, it is about FMCG and AgriTech, and its presence in modern trade, which is a local term, I would say. The perfect our term should be supermarket or organized trade, which we commonly refer to as. So I believe so. Everyone is aware of modern trade and what FMCG is. I don't know whether everyone is well versed with agri-tech in general and how its presence is there in the organized sector, retail sector. So I would share my details about that as well. So basically, shoppers in India, India's metro cities mostly, are increasingly shifting to supermarket chains, which we commonly refer to as modern trade, right? And even ordering their groceries, prompting the two organized retail formats to corner more share in the sale of fast-moving consumer goods in a country where local grocery stores are still they control bulk of the market. So overall, two formats now account for roughly the FMCG sales uh, in countries' metro cities. So we will cover in this session. We'll talk about organized sector in general. Uh, and overall, if I talk about retail in general, uh, in general sense, it would be organized trade, unorganized trade, and e-commerce. Well, terminologies change from time to time. Organized trade can be termed as modern trade. Well, within modern trade, there are supermarket stores, which are the brick and mortar stores, which we see oftenly see in the streets and in the shopping malls. And then there are e-commerce websites, which we now commonly call as D2C app platforms, which is direct to consumer platforms. So, and then there is the unorganized trade, which is which we commonly should call is as traditional trade. And then there is the master wholesale platforms as well, which comes into place, like Metro Cash and Carry. And again, that is a kind of organized trade, but there can be unorganized wholesale markets as well. So overall, the two platforms now account for roughly about 30% of FMCG sales in the country's metro cities. Uh, Nelson counts Nelson, which is a consulting-based company. I think everyone should be aware of it. AC Nielsen counts 52 cities as metro cities in India, for those with a population of over 10 lakhs. It is said that the quarter of 2022, that the share of modern trade stores in these metro cities moved up to 22.3% of the in the same period. A year ago, it was 24.7, which is now. So while e-commerce went up again in up to 5% in January March quarter of 2022 till right now, which is 7.3%. So it may seem that I'm throwing a lot of numbers. So if there is any questions around it, I would readily take them. If
Sure.
there is, yeah. So I believe everyone is from sales background. So I'm just trying to give a perspective in general.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So recently, as I can remember in the last quarter update of India's FMCG sector, overall I am talking about, the market researchers assessed that the contribution and growth rates of these traditional trade, modern trade, and e-commerce or B2C sales channels to FMCG sales in India. The researchers basically looked at retail channels in India's metros, as well as they mapped their popularity in pan-India scale. So still, however, across India, traditional trade still continues to control the bulk of stores where goods of daily use are brought and sold, right?
Akash, one question. Would you
Yeah,
like to
sure.
take the Q&A
Yeah,
at the end, or would you like to have it while
we
having
can
the
we
session?
can we can we can we can have it during the session as well. That's fine.
Okay, so
Not an issue.
Vineet has a question. Vineet Kumar.
Yeah.
Yes, Vineet, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Vinay.
Yeah, and I can totally relate to your today lecture because right now I'm in a GT market and
Acha, okay,
I'm ASM of Vico, Vico Laboratories. So right
nice.
now in a modern trade only, and I have come here for the display and all to set up to get all this done. So
Nice.
apart from this, yeah. So I wanted to ask a question. So
Yeah, sure.
basically, I have been in this company for for 1.5 years, and what I have learned is that going to the market, doing retailing and all, not doing retailing, like making my juniors and making my team to work on the field works and all. So that's the
Mhm.
part. But apart from this, you told that AgriTech, right, sir?
You're right. Yes,
How
yes,
this industry is different with like you told about the modern trade.
yeah,
So we all know that the FMCG factors the big players,
correct,
ITC and all those players are there in the market already. And AgriTech, if you're talking about, so I can relate it like a local, like you are procuring from the local and then you are packaging and then you are selling it like that, or how, or what sector? Like the two things works in modern trade basically. Like the product which are AgriTech that directly come from the FMCG big players, ITC, or if I talk about this company, Tata, and other big brands. But AgriTech products, other than these are the local products which come directly, which modern trade try to procure it from, from the local market, and then they try to do the packaging and all, and then sell it to the higher margin. So that could I can
I'll give
understand.
you, so I understand your question. So
Yeah.
basically, there I'll just try to define FMCG and then I'll define agri-tech in general, beneath. So
And
FMCG,
And one last, the second part of the question, like
Sure,
that's the
sure.
personal part. Like being a ASM, like 1.5 year I have worked it. So
Right.
I am like I am in a I did marketing, and for obviously to learn the marketing we have to do the sales. So
Mhm.
that is being completed. So other than that, what are the other thing I can also explore it to the field after doing this work? So you can
Okay.
kindly guide me on that
Sure,
role
sure,
as
sure,
well. Okay.
sure,
Thank
sure,
you, sir.
sure. No problem.
I can wait. Like,
So, the first part of the question, I'll just try to define what I mean by FMCG and what I mean by agri-tech in general. So I'll just break it down abbreviation wise. Okay. So FMCG is fast moving consumer goods, which is the traditional product line, what we use at a day to day level basis, which is a basically processed product. It can be a soap, it can be a floor cleaner, it can be food products, but that has to be processed. Agri-tech in general, uh, it is agri and tech which is involved in it. So agri-tech is very fast. It is extremely vast. So I'll just give you an example. Uh, like there are a lot of companies, right, in India, uh, which are emerging. To be very honest, in agri-tech. Okay. So uh, coming to Vinit's question, sorry, I was just cutting down. So so what he said is that if agri-tech is buying locally and packing it. That is not what agri-tech is. Agri-tech is basically agricultural produce. And mostly in this session today, what I'll be talking about is mostly about the influence of agri-tech within the organized retail. So agriculture, as we know, uh, it is a vast industry, and it is the main and utmost important industry in India. But it was the most underdeveloped industry as well. It was solely reliant on the government policies per se. But right now there are a lot of startups emerging, a lot of VC fundings are happening. So with that in perspective, the how would I say? Uh, Agri-tech, what we will be talking about in this particular session is not just procuring how we grow crops. Agri-tech in vast means using drones, using fertilizers, using sustainable ways to grow your produce, how you can increase your yield, a lot of things. But overall, in terms of organized trade, it would specifically mean sourcing the products from farmers, from FPOs. Uh, it could be fruits and vegetables as well. So, for example, if I talk about fruit and vegetables predominantly, mm, you know, we buy them from local vendors, from street side vendors. They are not growing their products, right? We know that very well. We know that they are buying from some farmers. They're bringing it down to the streets on some push carts, and we buy them from there. That is the unorganized market. And in the organized market, if we go to, let's say, Big Bazaar, which is now Smart Bazaar, or a Reliance, or any other format, we see packed fruits and vegetables. So there, if you see behind, there is something called legal metrology. So legal metrology is an act which was developed in 2009. Then there has been a lot of amendments year on year. Every year there is some sort of amendment that is happening. So basically, legal metrology act is uh, a rule book basically, where the labeling instructions are controlled. So if we see any food product, be it Lay's chips or a bottle of phenyl, or it can be a packed fruits and vegetables in a organized trade, we can see there, we can actually trace the product. when was it packed, what is the country of origin, what is the price, what is the weight, when when it was packed, what was the weight back then, because it is a live product, it will deteriorate day on day, there will be water loss, there will be a lot of uh, deterioration in the product. And we can also see the expiration date of that product. But when we go to the street vendor and buy agri produce, be it fruits or vegetables, we don't know when it was harvested. We don't, because right now when we are dealing, I mean, like the session at the end, I was already going to talk about this, but since the question has come up, so would just want to say that uh, there is some sort, see, with the emergence of tech, all right. Previously, when we wanted to go somewhere, we used to ask, street bystanders and keep, where is this house? Where is this house? And we used to go like that. Right now, we don't do that anymore, right? None of us do. We just put the location on Google Map and we just reach to the spot. So that is what tech drives us, and that is what the solution tech is providing. So in recent years, Vineet, as well, you would see there are bananas in the modern trade or general trade stores, and apples which are sold loose, not packed even, but they would have a small QR code. There are some brands which have emerged in the market. They would have a small QR code, and that QR code, if you scan, you can trace back to the farmer, which farmer has grown, when was that product harvested, what was the preservative ripening chemicals used, or whether not none of the preservatives were used in that product. So you can trace back. That is what agritech is. Agritech is, if you have seen recently, there have been government policies where government have incorporated some agencies like NAFED and other agencies as well, where IFCO and others, where they have drone pilots. People in 20 years back used to have a big jug of pesticides in their back, and they used to go and spray it in their fields. Right now we use drones. So agritech is evolving day to day basis, and government is also pushing that. There has been subsidies in fertilizers. There were some specific fertilizers where government uses gives subsidy. So farmers, without knowing, whether they don't know that whether the soil requires that particular fertilizer or not, they just randomly buy because they're getting in getting at a very highly subsidized rate. They just buy it and just use it on their soil. But right now, again, there are multiple agri-tech companies which are focusing on soil testing equipment. So they can give climate, the soil health reports. So by that, you can increase your, you can choose which crops to grow, which crops will give you the best revenue per se. So that is what agri-tech is in general. But yes, again, there are a lot of emerging agri-tech companies which are not only mm, packing them locally and just sending it, but they are incorporating a lot of tech behind the products as well. So I think I have cleared the first part of the question. And second part of the question, Vinit, I would definitely speak about at the end of this session, as in what is the next step. So I would give my personal experience as well, and we will definitely address your question. So coming back to the topic what we were discussing, so I believe we spoke about, like, across India in terms of contribution of FMCG sale, the share of traditional trade. See, when we go out, Vinith, who is already in the market visiting a GT store probably. Well, again, GT or MT is the definition of MT depends from company to company. Some companies consider local chains as modern trade, while some companies don't. They prefer national chains to be known as modern trade in their books. So overall, when for this session, we would speak about the retailers who are organized by nature. Where if I go back to any of the retailers and ask them that what was my sale in the month of October of 2021 or 2019, they would be able to drag their data down and just tell me. So that is what organized retailer we mean in this session. So again, the share of traditional trade is still the largest. If we go out in the market, we see like hundreds of GT stores and probably 5 modern trade supermarkets in the area. So, but it has dropped down from 88.5% in the first quarter of 2023 this year to 86.3% in the first quarter, which was in the last year's same quarter, first quarter. The shrinkage of 2.2% in the span of a year, whereas the share of modern trade has evolved from 9.6% in quarter one, which was last year, it was 9.6%, and this year it is 10.9%. So across India, the contribution of e-commerce is still at a minuscule level of 2.8%. Contribution of e-commerce or D2C platforms is fairly very low, and it majorly the contribution has been there in the metro city zone, and the by e-commerce or D2C platform, I mean Big Basket, Zepto, Blinkit, and other platforms, Instamart and all. So the contribution of this channel matrix of these different retail channels has been changing over the last few years after COVID-19. The traditional retail has come down to 86%. So there is clearly some movement towards organized trade. People have shifted from traditional trade to organized trade. And within organized trade, both modern trade and e-commerce are taking the share as of now. So that is one thing, because people like because of different kind of promos, different kind of the ambience in general, the ease of buying. However, even the channel shifts are more amplified in metros, whereas the traditional trade has still dropped almost like 5% in the last 1 year again. So now, as COVID-19 was there, has swayed the shopping behavior, prompting more consumers to avoid crowded places. It is likely to boost adoption of online retailing in India as well. So more online grocery retailers like Blinkit, Zepto, Big Basket, Instamart, and other chains have been overwhelmed with these orders since India's strict lockdown started in 2020. So the demand has also prompted more industry players to join in the FMCG companies, and these physical stores have also amped up their presence in online with these new apps. There have been a lot of dropship applications that had surfaced. There is still one app called Dunzo, which is Reliance owns a majority stake in the company, though it is in the brink of probably bankruptcy as of now. But there are a lot of companies who do dropship models. Yeah, so that is one thing. So these retail physical stores have also tied up with logistic companies for home deliveries as well. Over the years, modern trade chains have drawn in huge numbers, especially through their own sales and promotional activities, such as celebrating key occasions. In modern trade, whoever has been in sales and has dealt with modern trade chains is fairly aware of a term called Big Day. So it is commonly big days, which is that includes the sales around Republic Day, Independence Day, and key festivities like Diwali and all. So retailer-driven big days have played a big role in the performance of organized trade channels, modern trade and e-commerce both. Organized channels witnessed consistent double-digit growth in the big day months in the last few years, indicating that big days could be an important lever to drive growth for the FMCG industry in the future months as well. It is, however, that e-commerce, these big days have progressively outperformed modern trade. Also to notice that since e-commerce probably doesn't have e-commerce, which again comes under modern trade, so it doesn't come. They don't bear that much of overhead in terms of manpower at a store level, at a electricity level, at a rent level. So they can, the D2C platforms, they fairly give better promos and better deals while going to these stores. So that is one thing. But again, retail experience is something which that cannot be compensated. So when you go to a store, someone approaches you, they can give you some guidance, which is best, what is going on in the market, and you can, choose better. Well, D2C, again, digital marketing plays a key role while choosing any product. So we could see the relevance of these humble grocers could go up, and there could be a renaissance of that. Secondly, of course, would be an e-commerce, certainly, as people become adverse to stepping out. There should be a flipping e-commerce. More or less, the physical stores would be outperformed by the D2C platforms eventually. When we can see Zepto has raised it is right now a 1.4 billion valuation company. While to reach that kind of a level, any traditional modern trade like Spencer's or Reliance took ages, and Zepto became a unicorn in like 2 years. They launched their platform. They were operating in Mumbai only at a very minuscule level in 2021, and they just boomed, right? So it happened very fast, and there will be a lot of other companies as well which will come. But again, we cannot just overrule that supermarkets or the brick and mortar stores, the supermarkets would go out of business. That is not going to happen. If you see, Reliance has been opening a lot of physical shops. Spencer's has been opening a lot of physical shops in the recent years as well. And so that is one thing. FMCG has been a main contributor behind this success of the shop openings as well, I would say. So I think there are some questions.
Yes, Akash.
Yeah.
Let me just go to Rajiv. Rajiv, if you can unmute and start your video and ask your question.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Myself, Rajiv Kumar. I have two questions.
Yeah.
I have two questions. The first question is this: how we can harmonize between the different channels of business? As you told, there's a tradition.
Sorry, I didn't get you. What
How
was
do
your
we
question?
harmonize? How do we harmonize?
Yeah,
How do we bring the harmony in the different channels of the business, as you said, the traditional one, e-commerce, and the modern trade?
So you are talking. So just to clarify, by the harmony, you mean the how, as a salesperson, how you can bifurcate and maximize your revenue from these different channels? Is that what you mean? Without cannibalizing the shift. I didn't actually get your question.
One second, Rajiv. Rajiv, can you unmute yourself?
Yes. Yeah. So you are talking from a sales perspective, right?
Yes. If it's an FMCG company, the main thing is the sales. After development product, the change should happen.
Yes.
My thing is, sir, as I've already established the way of traditional sales. So how do I get an advantage of the these other channels? So my traditional sale will not hamper.
Right. So This is a tricky question, actually, Rajiv. So I'll try to be as diplomatic as I answer your question. So uh, when we, as salespeople, work in the industry, we know there prior there was e-commerce existence, the domination of this e-commerce platforms in the market. We had modern trade as well as general trade, and there was always an eternal fight. There will never be an harm. That is the real story. So, to give you a perspective, there is something called B2B underline, right? So, right, for example, you are working for a FMCG company. It could be a startup, and and it could not be a startup as well. When you are going to a particular general trade outlet, probably you are giving a markup margin of, let's say, 10% or 25%. It could depend from company to company. While there could be an offer running on the same particular product in an organized supermarket, and they're selling at BOGO offer, buy one get one offer, which comes to 50%. So the retailer would definitely not buy from you, and would probably go to that supermarket and buy at 50% margin rather than getting 10% or 20% margin from you. So the sales of general trade definitely drops. That is the reality. Again, there has been some checks from the brands as well, not to create to maintain the harmony, like you said. So, for example, if I am working for, if I am the sole representative of a FMCG company, I don't want my general trade retailers to buy the products from the supermarkets, right? So I would put a capping on those products on the BOGO offers. So a lot of companies do that. So you can have a check that BOGO, they can buy 2 units or 3 units of that product. Probably else they would start buying them and selling at their own store. So if you see in general as well, you would see, let's say Spencer's is selling onion for 2 rupees. In some big days, they run these kind of offers, right? Big Basket sells sugar at 1 rupee at a purchase of this particular amount. So if that is happening, then you would expect I will buy like 50, 60 kilos or even like 200 kilos of onion at 1 rupee. I'll give 200 rupees, I'll get 200 kilos of onion, and I'll sell that at 40, 45 rupees at my general trade shop, whichever shop they are having their own vegetable section as well. But that doesn't happen. They limit to 1 kg per person, per bill, per ticket. So there is some sort of check that you can put. Coming to the harmony and synchronization between these 3 channels, where there is not much fight that is going on, that has to be taken at a store level. Sorry, at a brand level. It should be a brand call, I think. Basically, you have to bifurcate, because you don't want to bring down any of the market. You don't want your modern trade sale to go down, and your e-commerce business, while it is going up, you don't want any of the other chain business to go down. So you have to have certain promos dedicated to the TG that is there. You have to have you can increase your ticket size, you can do cross selling, you can do upselling along with your products. You can have bill buster promos that is going at a supermarket level, but you can have maybe you can collaborate with other brands and increase your sales drastically at D2C application platforms as well. General trade, you have to have a relationship. That is again one thing. It doesn't just run on promos, from my personal experience. But yes, you have to have some sort of checks in order to build this harmony.
We have a question from Vineet.
Okay, this is, I think, a very important question. So I think his question was,
Can I
yeah,
unmute
which
him
channel?
and
No, that's fine. I can read it out.
okay,
So
okay.
Vineet is asking which channel is growing faster in AgriTech in D2C or model trade, and at what market capitalization for both the channel and contribution of AgriTech in overall sector. So see, AgriTech, if I break it down and segregate to one particular category, which is like, let's say, pre-packed economy range fruits and vegetables. That is a very minuscule business as of now. If you talk about organic packed fruits and vegetables in organized trade, be it D2C or be it uh, supermarkets, they contribute not more than 1% of the FNV category. That is a reality. While natural packed fruits and vegetables, that has reshaped the entire industry. That has previously there were loose products that was yeah, organic and non-organic. Yeah, I can understand. Organic, it contributes to 1%, and non-organic it contributes majorly, right? And if I talk about, say for example, any modern trade shop, they generally buy their FNV requirements from the local mandis, right? And they just bring it. They do their own sorting grading probably, and sometimes they don't even do sorting grading. They buy sorted graded products and they just sell it to their consumers. That is one part of the business. And then there are some companies which are emerging. uh, they do their own sorting grading at their packing facility. They maintain a lot of checks, a lot of QC parameters, and then they send their products with the proper legal metrology in place, with the FSI license, norms, and everything. So that is still a very small part of the category, small contributor of the category. I would say in right now, it is not more than 10% of the entire FNV category in organized trade. So, but I would say people have shifted a lot of the organized trades. Right now, I'm working for this company. It's a AgriTech company, and I had sales for a particular division where we do pre-packed fruits and vegetables as well, apart from the other model of businesses. So there we have shift a paradigm. We have seen a paradigm shift in the supermarkets where they have stopped procuring in certain retailers. They have stopped procuring few articles from the mandis, and they have started purchasing our products, where the look and feel of the product, because every consumer, they are uh, day on day they are becoming health conscious and they are getting aware. If you're going to a market, you're buying potato, let's say for example, there can be n number of varieties of potatoes. There can be n number of varieties of onions as well. We should know which one to buy, what is good for what uh, kind of consumption wise. I think there is another question. No. So yeah, so I think that is a evolving part as of now. But again, let's say milk cooperative in general, shifting, I'm just switching to different example. uh, Vineet, I think 25 years back or 35 years back, uh, your parents or the previous generation would have not bought atta or whole wheat uh, in packets, like what we generally buy Ashirwad or some other brand. They used to go to some chakki and they used to buy it, right? So that has shifted. So even AgriTech is reshaping the entire fruit and vegetable industry. There will be a lot of emerging companies. Reliance has introduced a brand of their own where they do prepacked fruits and vegetables. Uh, Bijak, which is one of the leading agri-tech companies in India, they have introduced a particular brand called Just. Then there are a lot of other companies which would definitely come into place. 50 years back, 40 years back, people used to buy milk from Dudwalas. Right now, milk cooperative was formed. Just imagine the person who had developed this milk cooperative, and he stands proud and tall that I have reshaped the entire packed milk industry in India, processed, milk in India. So there will be a lot of companies which would come in place, and the entire shifting of buying fruit and vegetables uh, from unorganized players would shift to organized players, and because of traceability, because of hygiene, because of multiple factors, because of ease of buying, because we know we can, when you are buying Ashirwad atta, the what standard you are going to get. You'll get the same standard what you bought last month or the month before. It is not going to change. So there might be Six Sigma certification behind these kind of uh, brand products, QC wise and all. So there is a trust factor that comes into place as well. So yes, the rate of capitalization would increase definitely. So I think that was the answer to your question. So coming back to agriculture in general, it is the life of Indian economy, right? It contributes to like 16% of India's gross domestic product, GDP, and employs like 43% of India's workforce. So I think this is also the answer to your questions. You can relate that what is the massive impact that India can bring down if proper technology is involved in agriculture. Several industries, such as consume packed goods, retail, chemicals, and e-commerce, are heavily dependent on the output produced through agriculture. Thereby, Nitin Gadkari recently, we have seen the introduction of flex fuel, sorry, which has 20% ethanol, and ethanol is produced from sugarcane. Multiple countries are going towards it. So the contribution of agriculture, sugarcane or any other crop wise would again increase, and it will also impact in byproducts, and it will also impact in the modern trade arena as well, thereby magnifying the impact of agriculture in our country's economy. Multiple structural changes are inhabiting Indian agricultural sector from reaching to its full potential. Yields on crops such as cereals are lower in India by like 50% compared to countries such as US or China. The presence of numerous intermediaries through the value chain contributes to the reduction of farmers' income. But a lot of, I think, the limited access to technology, credit, and marketplaces are some of the other challenges that Indian agriculture sector is grappling with. But with the emergence of companies like Bijak and other companies, they are helping out the farmers basically. So it is an imperative. It is imperative to recognize that small marginal farmers also constitute to the lion's share of India's farm holding of 86% or 90%. As a result, the solutions to challenge in agricultural need to be inclusive uh, of the needs of these small marginal farmers, it increases, right? I think there is another question. No,
No, there.
no, there's an old one just popping, flashing. So there has been recent policy reform announcements. Okay, I think there is another question.
Yes, Nitesh, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Akash, I have a question here.
Hi,
My question
Nitesh.
is, hi. My question is, with the farming land parcels diminishing, due to these tier 3 cities coming up, they're cropping up, and more and more because of economic reasons, the newer generation do not want to get attached to, the hard labor or whatever you call it. right? And plus these corporates coming in, simultaneously, and like, grabbing these big parcels as well. So how do
I
you, what do
understand.
you see, what do you know, how do you see the future? Because this is eventually, we are moving towards what happened in US, or the industrialization, right? And then from industrialization, you see more and more people getting attached to, white collar jobs, rather than, farming or toiling on their lands, So how do you see that change affecting us in the future?
So there is a very, I think, unique way of answering to your question. So I understand your concern about urbanization, right? That is the first part of the question, I believe.
Correct.
That the cities are expanding and it is encroaching the farmlands as well. True. Uh, but we have to be very optimistic in certain factors. So there, I understand the lands that has been encroached by these cities. Uh, they are farmlands, very to be very precise. Uh, if you gave an example of US, right? So US is probably the largest producer of agro products in the world, one of the largest agro products because of their land per se. But we also are aware that their cities have encroached farming lands. They have expanded to their fullest capacity possible. Now coming
Akash,
to give,
if
yeah,
I may interrupt here,
yeah, sure.
um, uh, I mean, probably US was not the right comparison for a simple reason, because of the population.
I understand. I
Yes,
understand that. I
because I mean,
understand.
the land parcel that they hold and the population that they have may
Correct.
not be. It's like it's disparity. I mean, comparison is a disparity. But what I meant was broadly that uh, westernization, happening. I mean, we can see that happening in India right in front of us. And I mean, cities like Noida, Gurgaon, they were all farming
True.
lands. They were
True.
all
True.
farming.
True.
Yeah, they're patches of very fertile land, which
True. To
yeah,
give you a perspective, Nitish, so if you see, export of agri products has increased, correct,
correct.
in the last few years. So, which means that our production has overgrown, and and coming to your part as well, we have encroached Gurgaon. I stay in Gurgaon, so Gurgaon was a farmland ideally
Right.
15-25 years back.
Um,
Now it is full of cyber city and sector 47 and all, you know, sparkles and glitters. So if contradicting to your point, export has increased, uh, population has increased as well in India, and we are consuming more than ever. See, to be very honest, we are living in India at the best possible time in last 100 years.
Absolutely
So
true.
the production of Indian agro products has also exceeded what it was grown. The quality of fertilizers, the quality of crops, everything has changed. Yes, I understand your concern that we should not encroach farmlands and all. That is again like a government policy, I would say. I'm really not the right person to comment on that. But uh, if it doesn't hamper the internal production, the it can control inflation, and it can increase exports. I think we should be very reluctant towards it. There, I think there will be a lot of companies. For example, there is a brand, Adani has introduced a brand called Farm Pick, which primarily focuses on apples. That doesn't mean that they have, the sales of the local small farmers has declined. That is not the that is definitely not the scenario. They do contractual farmings. They give the best possible price MSP wise, and they purchase those produce at their end They do sorting, grading, they do packing, they do bulk boxing, and they send it across India. So if you see in this perspective, a small farmer, a apple farmer in Shimla or Kullu, was selling their entire produce in the local mandi. Now, with the entire demand creation by a corporate entity at their probably state, uh, their own demand has shooted up. So the prices has gone up as well. What prices they used to get 5 years back, they're getting almost double what
But
they're.
in that case, the inflation is going to go up like crazy because the output is not increasing. Uh, in parity with the demand,
That
isn't it?
is true. That is true. The
Yeah.
inflation rate, the standardized inflation rate, I don't remember exactly what it is. I think it is, uh, 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 but it is still bearable. It is still below a lot of other, you know, developed countries. So that is a different, I think, aspect of the conversation. But yes, I understand your concern. But I think there will be some sort of control and check, by the government as well, and uh, the production should also increase. They will do that by various means. Uh, you know, again, what I was giving the example to, I think, Vineet. You know, yeah, Rajiv is saying all-time high inflation right now. Yeah, I understand. Globally, it is the same thing worldwide, but I think we are at a much better place compared to some, even we are better than UK or even US as well. So overall inflation wise, I can understand. But yes, coming to the main topic of discussion. So I think a few startups would come. They would not try to, change the face of the agriculture in India. For example, Bijak, which is one of the leading AgriTech companies, is not, the one who wants to just outrightly say that mandis don't work. We will connect buyer seller from wherever they want. It has to go through APMC mandis. So there will be middlemen that you cannot deny. The increase, the population has increased, and the consumption has also increased. So inflation is bound to be there. So that is one thing. But I believe in due time we will understand how, you know these things are taking shape. So I I think we should all rely on the government as of now. I think we are in good hands. So let's trust that for now. So I think that was
Akash,
the. Yeah,
one question that we have from a sales perspective, right? We do see
yeah.
when we go to chains like DMart, right? We see product positioning playing a
Hmm.
key role, right?
Hmm.
Can you put some light on how, from a sales point of view, because a majority of our learners are from the sales
See,
standpoint, how they can, as a person managing a super chain, a store, a chain of stores, right? Kind of an area manager, how they can increase the sale of their particular product by collaborating with that particular chain of stores.
right. So very good question, Ronit. So if you are talking about a person working for a FMCG company who is selling their products in modern trade chains, and they want to maximize their sales through product positioning, marketing strategies within the store, in store, right? So there are multiple ways. Some requires investment. You can buy shelf spaces for a month or for a quarter. You can buy end caps. You can have floor stacks. You can have small parasites. That you can do. That is the investment that requires budget. On the other hand, there is something which is much budget friendly. You can have, uh, again, without investing, you can do cross selling. You can collaborate with some brands, and you can give deep markdowns, with those cross-selling brands as well. So that is, I think, one of the things. Very importantly, if we are buying uh, floor stacks, end caps, or any kind of marketing space, display spaces within a store, we should always check the planogram of the store. We should not just randomly, because modern trade chains, they have already been booked by multiple brands, all those spaces where they can rent out. So every shelf, every corner is an asset to the store, and that asset has an asset number. So, my suggestion would be that when you are renting out a space for any period of time, you should always ask for the asset number. The area manager or the TSM or the regional manager or the sales officer, whatever the designation is, they should go and check whether that position of that rack or that shelf is relevant to you or not, right? There might be a shelf which is next to hygiene section, and you are selling snacks. They would give the end cap there. That can be possible, while they will indulge you by saying that is a power aisle, but that might not be the best possible place to place your product and do it that way. But I think there is a mm, you know not always it is budget requirement, but you can always have a relation building at the store and take as much as space that is possible. So that is one thing. So
Correct.
yeah.
Also, I have a few other questions. Would you like to continue
Sure.
with your topics, or should I
No,
go ahead?
no. I think we are almost done only.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So one thing that we have seen is that in FMCG or AgriTech, right?
Mhm.
You go through multiple roles and then finally you are heading a particular division, right? So can you
Right.
throw some light on the career graph of a person, right from the initial level to how they can grow and head a vertical in
Sales
FMCG as
wise,
well as yes,
sales wise. Okay.
in AgriTech as well as FMCG? What are the different roles and
See,
what are
uh,
yeah yeah
yeah, continue.
and what are what are the things that they should do to better themselves skill wise, or for example, if you suggest any particular kind of an MBA, for example, just randomly trying to understand that how they can improve their career and reach, for example, at a level where they can manage a particular vertical.
Okay. So anyone who has probably completed their MBA or their graduation as well and has started their career probably as a sales officer or as a TSM or TSI, uh, you have to grow. You have to scale up to be the head of that vertical or that region or that state per se. Sales wise, like you mentioned, MBA definitely plays a very important role if it happens from a highly rated university. That is very important. I go through CVs on a daily basis uh, from multiple applicants. A lot of people ping me personally on LinkedIn. I get emails. So I have seen MBAs from multiple universities, but that not might be uh, uh, relevant to the field that they are working in. Their specialization could be completely different, and what they are working is completely different, and because of probably that reason that they have not gained the knowledge while doing MBA. It is not just a certificate, Ronak. It is definitely not just a certificate that you get and you get. It is just a key to your success. It is definitely not. It is a way of life. MBA teaches you. Post graduation teaches you uh, the internal moving parts of the industry. If you want to follow the same industry which you are working, you have studied, right? So that is one part. uh, Scaling up the ladder, I think in FMCG, if you're working in Vineet has another question. I'll come back to your question. So yes, FMCG, it mainly is dominated by the distribution model. Right? There is something called hub and spoke model, and then there is something called distribution model. FMCG entirely in India works mostly through distribution model. And my suggestion to any sales officer who is starting at a scratch level as a base level should develop their cognitives. They should have their own contacts within the market. People, you don't think of working for a big brand. Think of creating your own brand. That is much more important. People should not say that a distributor, when you are going to a distributor or a super stockist or a CFA, they should not say कि अरे देखो वो अमूल वाला आ गया और देखो वो किसान का बंदा आया. They should definitely not say that. They should refer to you by name. Once you have attained that, you will understand that you have got that recognition from your first point of contact. Distributors are your first point of contact. Once you have done that distribution, because primarily in FMCG, there are three sales involved: primary, secondary, and tertiary. You do your primary income, your primary sales happens at your distributor level. I know that there are multiple moving parts. I mean, distribution, there can be super stockist, from super stockist, it goes to distributor, from distributor, it goes to other part. And for right now, for the topic of discussion, we'll just mention distribution. So your primary income, your primary mode of contact, everything comes from your distributor. Then you generate your secondary order from your retailer. The distributor supplies it to the retailer. From the retailer, the tertiary sales happens, whether it is through brand promoters or merchandisers or the store itself selling. But the tertiary happens. When the tertiary happens, automatically your secondary will happen. Automatically your primary will happen as well. So we, as a FMCG sales force, always have the pressure of primary sales, right? I believe everyone would agree on this point. That will automatically happen through the end tertiary sales. You have to focus on your tertiary sales. You have to have contacts in the market. Every retailer should know you by name, by face. They should have your phone numbers in their mobile phones. You should have their phone numbers on your mobile phones. You should have a unofficial contact with them as well, not just when you see them when you're going for a visit at their store. Try to maintain a relationship. Try to build a relationship even after they get off from work. You can maybe go and have a cup of tea with them. So that also can happen. You should, again, growing up the ladder, when your manager would feel that my involvement is not required, and I quote, this is the most important part of any growth. When your manager, when your boss would feel that my involvement is not required, whether I am there or not, sales is going to happen. This guy will make the sales happen. He is capable enough. Then you are set. Then you are done. Then your game. Okay. When he has that confidence, when you have gained that confidence, whether कि boss आप रहो ना रहो, धंधा हो जाएगा, आप टेंशन मत लो. That is it. Again, luck, star, these are the factors which would be there. It is not that you just please your boss. It is not about pleasing your boss. Definitely not. It is, again, creating your own goodwill. You create your own goodwill, you will get multiple offers from other competitor companies because they will start noticing. You can shift companies, you can get internal growth, you can do IGP, you can do a lot of things. But again, you have to have your own goodwill created in the market where you're working. There will be a lot of companies coming and going. You will be joining this company. Probably in 2 years, you will be in another company, but the market stays the same. You have to maintain relationship with the distributors, with the super stockists, with the retailers, with the CFAs, everyone. Probably you're working in this company, you have joined another startup, you will go to the same distributor. If you have relationship, if you have got a, let's say you've shift, got a promotion, you've got a new job at a different startup which is launching its products in your particular state or a city per se, and you already have your own distribution network, you know the distributors well, they will automatically trust you. They will know that अरे previous company में इसने इतना अच्छा profit करवाया, इतना अच्छा sale करवाया इसने store से बात करके, so whatever product he is bringing, I'll trust him. I'll put my money on it. So that is okay. So first question I'll ask Vineet, the previous question. Those who have worked in FMCG can work on AgriTech industry. Of course, yes. I am the example myself. So I shifted. I have been working for a FMCG industry for some time before COVID, but post COVID, I understood that I would require some sort of stability because shops were getting closed and a lot of things were happening, and AgriTech was booming. So I shifted my entire model. I have not shifted my I have shifted my category, but not my industry. I still was working as sales. I am still working in sales. I was still handling modern trade. I was still handling general trade, e-commerce, exports. I still do the same. The faces have changed in the industry. I was dealing with, let's say, branded grocery category manager. Now I deal with some other department, the fresh category or F&B category manager. But still working with, and you get good leads as well. If, say, for example, you have good rapport with Spencer's in your with the existing category, he would refer. Yare chalo yes, AgriTech join ke. You ask him who is handling fresh category. He will automatically give you reference because AgriTech is much stable per se. And to be very honest, this is the initial stage of AgriTech in India in organized trade, and there will be early bird benefit that will be there. There are very limited number of people who are working in organized sector in F&B categories, in AgriTech category. So whenever a big company comes, they will try to poach. You will get better offers. I mean, like that is the nature of the industry. Coming to your second question, how much minimum time we should invest in FMCG to get considered relevant work experience to get to next level? So
I think he's talking about the promotion, right?
Promotion. Are you talking about promotion? See, this I would say time is not really the factor here. It is all about performance and your market, goodwill or content that you have created. Branding or marketing or strategy. I don't understand this question.
Vineet, I have unmuted you.
You can.
Yeah. So actually, for the next level, what I'm talking about is that being an ASM. So I wanted to learn as a marketer. I wanted to go in the marketing field, so branding or marketing strategy or even category manager or the upper level if I talk about.
Got it.
So yeah, so that.
So you want to change your vertical.
No. I don't want to change. I enjoy working as an ASM.
Not now. I mean not now, but in general, in your next level, you want to go from. You want to change your field from sales to marketing. That is what you want, right?
Yes, marketing or because for the future perspective, obviously after learning sales, being a marketer, always be on the other side, always have a dream.
This is all about preference, Vinit. This is all about preference, and I would say there is no timeline, to be very honest. People I have seen have shifted from sales to marketing or growth strategy within a year. And I have seen people struggling for 5 years, 10 years, and still they want to go into marketing, then still they have unable to do it. They're unable to crack it. It depends from your organization as well. It depends on your intent as well. Growth strategy, It depends. It is a very subjective question, Vineet. But yes, you can definitely change. You can apply in IJPs. You can, you know, there are a lot of ways to do it. But I would definitely not say that there is any such timeline that you have to work for, let's say, 2 years. Then only you can, then you are eligible for vertical change or something like that. I think that is not there. You can do it whenever you want, as long as you are, worth it. If the company will recognize your potential in marketing or growth strategy or branding, then they will definitely, give you the growth or change vertical.
Makes sense. Any other question, anyone? Please raise their hand and I can unmute you if there are any questions. Thank you, Vineet and Nitesh, for the questions. Anyone else? Yeah. I think, Akash, we had a great session today. Thank you so much once again for
We
taking
had a
out
lot of
time.
questions. Yeah.
I hope you also enjoyed
Of course I did,
sharing your
yes.
insights.
Yeah.
Sure. 1 second before we close this, Vineet, what are the other opportunities being ASM?
Opportunities being an ASM is that you, opportunities
Yes, sir.
being an ASM.
So just a last question to just thanking part. So thanks for the lesson. What you have given, what have you have learned apart from this, and you are delivering us. And I just wanted to know from the first question, which was pending, like what are the other possibilities like being a ASM? I
See,
can
if
explore. Yeah.
see you mentioned that whether someone can switch to AgriTech, right? So
Yeah.
since I currently am working in AgriTech and I'm loving it, so I would say that that is probably the best possible thing in the near future.
Traveling,
For
traveling is there, right?
traveling, I don't know whether someone if you like traveling, you can do traveling. If someone doesn't want to travel,
Both the areas are like open,
open,
office
right?
work and yeah, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so that is one thing. So it depends on your preference, to be very honest. There can be
Okay.
multiple roles. There can be multiple roles even in FMCG as well. From as an ASM, you can, if you are handling GT, you can shift to modern trade and try to understand how it works. Any RSM would have, I believe, so you handle modern trade as well as general trade, or you handle only
Yes,
general trade?
yes, sir. I'm handling like modern trade, not particularly like Reliance, DMart, or big mart like that. But
Mhm.
one particular
Yeah. So
yeah,
regional chains
marts
you
and
are
all.
handling, right? So regional
Right,
chains
right,
you are
right.
handling, right? Yes, I understand. So local
Retailing
regional,
mostly, retailing GT. Yeah,
I understand. So you are
wholesaler,
handling, yeah, standalone outlets. That is a different
standalone
thing.
outlet.
Yeah, but when we talk about modern trade, when you have to not speak with the shop owner, you have to speak with the national category head or the category head of that particular state. That is a different ball game. That is a different negotiation that is going to happen. So I would suggest, since you have acquired some experience in general trade market, try to explore the modern trade part in your company or some other company as well. And once you have gained multiple opportunities in the other industries, modern trade, e-commerce, and general trade, then you can
In
start.
e-commerce, e-commerce I can move into category manager, right, sir? Like after being a ASM,
Well,
or is there any other?
see, it is not that easy, I would say. Dealing in general trade and dealing with the modern trade is completely different, two different worlds. You have to have experience in all three verticals, then someone would take a keen interest on you. That is the most important part. You should
Mhm.
not say that, अच्छा चलो मैंने यहाँ पे experience ले लिया, अब तुम्हें यहाँ पे
Not
apply
that
करना
part,
है.
because we
No, it
have
is not going
to
to.
learn. We have to learn. We have to know everything. Then only we can crack the interview. This is not the
Right.
part that like what I will
See,
want, I will get it.
you are the foot soldier, you are the field brand ambassador of your company. Your
Right.
company is you are the sole representative who is going to the stores, right? So people know
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes,
Now,
sir.
for example, a e-commerce website, there is no salesman. You would not see any salesman there. It is all about marketing. It is all
Right.
about digital marketing. It is all about promo creation, how it works. Okay. There is no per se sales team over there. There is a category team who is responsible of buying the best possible produce at the best possible rate. That is there. That's it. End of story. Then there is a marketing team who actually drives the sales. They compare, they benchmark other competitors, and they have a better rate. That is there. That's it. They have their own strategy. Zepto plays a different role. Blinkit plays a different role. You will see that they're almost giving you the almost same offers, almost kind of same platform handling charge. They charge 5 rupees to 2 rupees handling charge. How did they derive to that particular rate? They are always benchmarking their competitors. There is no particular salesman to be very person. Working, for example, in a modern trade as a category person, that can be a possibility for you, I would say. But again, you have to have some sort of modern trade exposure for you to be working in a modern trade as a category team. So I think that should be there.
Hope we answered you, Vineet. Okay, Nitesh has a question. Can we take it, Akash?
Yeah, sure.
Akash, now this
Yeah.
is slightly personal. I hope you don't mind answering it.
No, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you took the shift during COVID, as you mentioned, from the FMCG sector to the AgriTech,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
I actually happened to miss the initial part of your presentation.
No problem.
So I don't know whether you covered that or no. But I want to know, I mean, like, had it like, has it never occurred to you to start up your own startup with, that kind of experience that you're holding?
So
Uh,
I'll give you I'll give you a very simple answer for your question.
yes,
So every sales team in the market
right.
always dreams of having their own either distribution network, company, or own brand, right?
Mhm.
That is there. Everyone does that.
Yeah,
When I shifted from FMCG to AgriTech, that was during COVID period.
correct.
Entire FMCG was declining. General trade was shut down. Most of the stores, even if they were open, the brands who were not essential in terms of even FMCG, they were unable to supply. Right, even
Mhm.
the ultimate essential commodities were only getting supplied.
Right.
Even for to if I can recall correctly, say for example, snacks industry declined heavily because not because the demand was not there, demand was there,
Mhm.
but the distributors wanted to in block their money, stock on regular essentials. People who were not selling groceries like egg, oils, or branded grocery biscuits and others, they started doing that, and they started giving less indents and POs for the beverages or the snacking categories. So that was completely a volatile market back then, and I always had an inclination. Even the previous organization where I had worked was also behind the front line. They were already supporting farmers to a certain extent, and I always chose companies who are keen in sustainable way of procurement for their raw materials, or they do some sort of betterment for the agricultural industry. So I had my experience back there as well. Not just I was working for any high shelf life FMCG company. I was working with a very low shelf life FMCG companies. All of my companies wherever I work. So my shift was pretty easy, I would say, because the demand was there. Even the demand for sales team in AgriTech is there, because there are not much organized sales force who are dealing with organized F&B.
The
So
question
that is there.
actually, I'm sorry, the question actually arised because I have a little bit of experience with Reliance Fresh,
Mhm.
Nature's Basket. Now
Mhm.
they've been taken over by Spencer's. So
Yes.
I do have a little bit of experience there as well.
Mhm.
So the question arises because I know that they are not great paymasters. FMCGs are
Uh,
never the greatest of paymasters. Uh, uh,
you retailers are not great paymasters in terms of
right.
FMCG companies, you want to say, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So that is the reason it occurred to me. Like, once you have the network in place, once you're dealing with all these people,
Yes.
maybe not the COVID period, but
Mhm.
otherwise also,
Mhm.
don't you think it's a better bet to bet on yourself rather than working for these companies who are not paying you that great?
Uh, no, uh, I would not put it that way. So everyone has their own set of goals, right? So I have my personal goals as well. So uh, like I am taking this session. So this is one of my interest areas. I am working for a particular industry where people in within that particular industry recognizes. I have seen people like, for example, you are aware of Nature's Basket. You are aware of, let's say, Spencer's as well. The managing director and CEO of Spencer's, Devendra Chawla, who was previously there. Now he has shifted to another e-vehicle company.
Hmm.
So he is still there. He hasn't opened up his own company. Ramesh Menon, who was the CEO of Hypercity, he was the CEO of Big Bazaar, Group CEO of Big Bazaar, has had joined Wingreens. He didn't open up his own company. Even still, he's a CEO of another company right now. I don't want to
But
take the
Akash,
name.
you're mentioning all the names that you're mentioning
Hmm.
are leadership roles.
I understand there are
Yeah.
leadership roles.
So
True.
basically, they definitely get a stake as well.
Yeah.
They have a stake as well in the company when they are performing,
True.
well. But
Yes.
for a person like you and me, probably,
Mhm.
where we do not have that kind of exposure.
Mhm.
So I mean, uh, don't you think that
So
shift is?
true, Nitish. I agree with you.
Hmm,
Most of the companies would not give a much bigger stake in the organization.
right.
But surprisingly, to my advantage, I do have a stake in my current organization. So,
That's
and
great.
I am, yeah. So, which is a good sign for me at least.
Yeah.
And I would say that this happened again with Ronit's previous question and Vinit's previous question. It is because of the market goodwill that I had created for myself, right?
Hmm.
So I believe that if we are working for any company, if we approach and to get recognition, to get this kind of recognition and growth, it mostly should happen. I believe so. It normally happens in a startup, right? And you take a bigger bet there as well. You don't know whether it is going to work or not. It could be just a pilot in the mind of the leadership position in the top management. They might be thinking, "Chalo, isko 6 mahine chala ke dekhte hain. If it doesn't work, we'll shut it down." If you join at a early stage startup, you would get and you are at that level of you have worked and you have got that kind of exposure. I believe so. You will get some sort of stake there in the organization as well. So
Okay.
that do happen. Yeah.
And I have a follow-up question as well now. I hope I'm not holding you for long, right?
No, no, that is fine.
Fine, right? Okay.
Yeah.
AgriTech, when you say the word AgriTech, right?
Mhm.
So, how do you think that the technology, probably in farming or, even in marketing or retailing, how do
Mhm.
you see that scenario change in the coming future, with technology coming in?
Yes. So
I
we
mean,
we we.
marketing, we've all
Mhm.
seen like people are, heading to e-commerce websites to buy even grocery nowadays, right?
Mhm.
So that shift
Yes.
we've already seen. But in
See,
agriculture and
we
distribution,
Yeah, I understand.
hmm,
So the recent policy reforms, announcements on removal of stock limits, liberalization of sale uh, of the, you know, basically the widespread adoption of technology
Hmm.
through the platforms, analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, like Internet of Things, are critical towards transforming India's agriculture industry in general. And we, if you see, there is a, if you can Google it later as well. There are certain brands, even if you, since you have worked with these organized trades, you have seen pre-packed F&B range in the modern trade chains, right? And you probably have seen a brand called Jespri.
Mhm.
It is an international brand. They sell kiwis. So that brand has created their own name. Jespri is a kind of kiwi, but that they chose that particular name as their brand and they trademark. So a lot of things are moving, and they, slowly and gradually, we now, when I particularly buy kiwis for my personal use, I go for Jespri. You have seen Happy Banana, which is a brand that we've seen in last 2 3 years
Correct.
taken over the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then these kind of brands, they are emerging. Not necessarily that the production has declined. They do you know uh, contract farming with farmers, and they do a lot of other things. They have their own sorting reading machine, ripening chambers. Mahindra is investing in this. A lot of other companies are doing this. Okay, Mahindra Agri is doing their. You would be surprised to know that there are a lot of big companies. Even Mastercard has their own agri invoice discounting platform, agri trading platform
Mm-hmm.
in India. So
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of big companies. They are emerging. India's startup ecosystem has been actively playing its part in disrupting the agricultural sector as well. AgriTech startups are operating in an attractive market with an estimated potential, let's say, of about 24 billion by 2025, which is a huge business. Opportunity in AgriTech exists across the value chains. Facilitating input market linkage, support with robust physical infrastructure network, improving yield through, precise agriculture, digitalization, digitalizing the records through farm management, which is very important. Then instituting quality management and traceability, again, which I think you missed. If you've seen apples or bananas and multiple products, you've seen barcodes stuck on those products. So if you scan those QR codes, you can trace back to the farmer. You can check when they were harvested. These things are gradually, these things, these tech parts are evolving the market, right? Yeah.
Got it. Thank you, Nitish. Thank you so much for the detailed
Yeah.
question. Thank you so much. So,
Okay.
before we, conclude this session, Akash, any book that you would like to recommend to all our learners, because we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Yeah.
Anything that we can, any book or any channel on YouTube, maybe you can recommend that we
Okay.
can learn to be better at modern trade or at selling or understanding agri-tech or FMCG.
See, since we were talking about scaling up the ladder, why limit
Mhm.
ourselves? Shoot for the stars so we land on the moon. That is one of the parts. So the book I would suggest is, there are uh, one of my favorite quotes by one of my favorite person who's no longer in there with us, Steve Jobs. I have probably seen his convocation speech at Stanford in 2005 multiple times. And the main term, the quote of that agenda of that speech was "Stay hungry, stay foolish." That is one of the books I would recommend. It is by Reshmi Bansal, if I'm not wrong. That is very, very good book. Then there is another book called Corporate Chanakya. So that also you can suggest to your viewers. The Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish is basically the stories, small stories I think 25 stories of IMA alumni, IM Ahmedabad alumni. You can learn how Paytm is what it is. They started with 25 square foot space of office under a staircase, and today what they are, how they have done it, and their own, stories and everything about that. So that you can do. Corporate Chanakya is also there. You can also
By Radhakrishnan Pillai,
yes,
that author?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
got it.
yes, yes, yes. That is also one of the books I would say. So,
Great.
another book I just read recently. I'll just see if I can tell. Mm, I like it's good. Yeah, by Jay Shetty. How to Think Like a Monk. That is also a good book, I would say.
Got it. Got it. I think on that note, Akash, thank you so much once again for giving us
Thank
your
you.
time. It was great hosting you, and
Yeah.
definitely we have shared it live. So please, all those people who have joined today, please do share it with your colleagues, friends, and let's learn together and let's keep learning.
Akash, lovely
Yeah.
session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nitish. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ronit.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Akash.
Thank you. Yeah.
They will connect in
Welcome.
LinkedIn, surely,
Surely,
obviously.
will do.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.